Folks, it's already December and winter is coming in hard. So, if you're needing some backup heat, emergency heat, or just some good, yes, they both do the same thing. One of them is twice as much heat as the other. One of them is a whole lot more expensive than the other. But do you need to justify that extra cost? There are a lot of different sizes, so let's discuss that. I have both. I've used them both a ton, so here's just one man's thoughts and opinions. Let's see if they can help you out. So if you're anything like me, you spend a lot of time thinking about preparedness, and you understand that being without heat is a true emergency. Just look at the big Texas freeze they had back in 2021, whenever we almost lost the entire grid for the whole state of Texas. And when the power goes out, or you're stuck in a tight spot somehow, a reliable portable heater is an absolute game changer. Both the Big Buddy and the regular sized Buddy heater can run on the same fuel, either those little green camp fuel bottles or a standard like barbecue grill type propane bottle, which is awesome for getting all of your fuel storage streamlined and getting some compatibility across systems with things like lanterns and camp stoves and little blow torches and things of that nature. So let's talk about some of the size comparisons in these. You know, the Buddy heater is quite a bit smaller. It only holds 1 can of fuel, so it makes it a lot more compact. It fits on a shelf easier, and if you're gonna use it for something like inside a tent or a camper or a small cabin or something like that, or even a deer blind, that can kind of play a factor. The Big Buddy, on the other hand, is a good bit larger. It holds 2 of the 1-gallon tanks, a lot more fuel, a lot more power, but with that higher BTU output, it does use more power along with that. But depending on your needs, size isn't always a factor, but sometimes it is. Sometimes you need something that's a little bit more portable. One key difference that I'll point out between the two that really actually is kind of a big deal for me is on the Big Buddy, on both sides where the fuel bottle connects or the hose, whatever you decide to run, they tilt out. They're on a hinge, so you can rotate it out to screw on your bottles. With the Buddy heater, with it being smaller, it doesn't have that. So you actually have to lift the heater up and hold it in the air to screw in your bottles. That's actually kind of a big deal. You can hot swap the bottles on the Big Buddy heater, whereas you have to pick up on the regular smaller Buddy heater, you have to pick it up off the ground to screw the bottles in, and it's gonna, you know, they've got the tip over protection. So that can be an issue, and it is something I need to go ahead and mention. In addition to that, if you'll take a look at the way the strikers are. Now, there is a possibility that this could have been updated, but the Big Buddy heater has a knob with an integrated striker, whereas the Buddy heater has an adjustment knob, and then around on the back side, it has a piezoelectric striker, push button striker, much like a grill or something like that. So it does make it a two-handed operation to start the Buddy heater, whereas the Big Buddy heater is a one-handed deal. Now, as far as the power output of these things, they both actually pack a pretty good punch for what they are. Both heaters have a low setting of 4,000 BTUs, and then the setting up from that is 9,000 BTUs. Now, the Big Buddy heater has an extra burner in it, so that doubles that to 18,000 BTUs. So the Big Buddy heater is 4,000, 9,000, and 18,000 BTUs, 3 different settings. The Little Buddy heater, or the regular Buddy heater, is 4,000 and 9,000 BTUs. If you're looking for something to kind of relate that to, I think the recommendations for the Big Buddy heater are like 450 square foot, and the regular Buddy heater are like 225. So kind of take that with a grain of salt. I use it in my 2-car garage just fine, like a lot during the winter. And we've had some really, really cold days, and the Big Buddy heater seems to do just fine. So if you are looking for something, you know, a little bit bigger, the Big Buddy's going to be your way to go. However, if you've got a room in the back of your house that maybe your fireplace doesn't quite heat up, or your other, you know, form of backup heat, whatever that may be, just doesn't quite get that back part of the house, or it's a bathroom that, you know, it's common for pipes to freeze, the regular size buddy heater, the small one, is really pretty good for that, just heating up that immediate area. We already kind of talked about the cross compatibility and the ecosystem that comes along with the 1 pound Coleman camp fuel type bottles. We have several lanterns. We've got 2 camp stoves. I have a bunch of little blow torches, obviously 2 heaters. And for everything to be able to use the same bottle, well, that really makes a usable difference in, you know, keeping the same type of fuel across your whole system, or as much of your system as you can, for compatibility purposes. And remember, we're talking about this for the purpose of emergency heat. And all of those things that I just mentioned, the lanterns, the camp stoves, those actually produce heat as well. You do need to, you know, I trust the heaters in an indoors area a lot more than I trust the lanterns and stoves. So you do need to keep that in mind. But remember, those things provide heat too. So let's discuss a little deeper with the emergency heat, because that's really the reason why we're here. You know, a power outage, a cold snap, or whatever, having a portable heater, something that I can pick up, take in the car, and, you know, take it to my wife's sister, or take it to one of my family members, or help out a neighbor down the street. Having that portability really makes a huge difference. And one of these things right here can really turn something into that would be a life-threatening situation that could cost tens of thousands of dollars with, you know, broken plumbing and all of that stuff, to something that's, you know, fairly comfortable. You know, you may have to wear a sweater or something like that, but you're gonna be fairly comfortable. Another thing, the smaller buddy heater that we have, what that was originally purchased for was, good gosh, it's been years ago, but we had a well house, and that thing stayed on low, hooked up to a 5-gallon propane tank, and just ran constantly. I'd check on it once every couple weeks, and that's what kept our well house from freezing. So that's another thing you really need to think about as far as emergency heat, is how are you going to keep something like a well house from freezing? God knows that's going to cost a fortune if something like that goes out. So if you're looking to keep your family warm and protect your stuff, these little heaters are perfect for that. It's just a matter of picking the size that you need. Obviously, I have both. That's what I recommend you do as well. But this can kind of help you make your decision. I could only have one. I'd probably choose the Big Buddy heater. You're not required to use the high setting. On the high setting, if you're using the 1-pound bottles, the freaking, you go through propane like crazy. Now on the 5-gallon, you know, barbecue grill type bottles, I don't know exactly the number of hours, but I'm out in the garage daily. I'm doing work in the shop daily, and I get about a month out of that. And I figured that's probably pretty efficient for how it gets used. It comes into a bone cold ice forming shop and heats that up to something where I can just wear a vest and a long sleeve shirt, or maybe a sweater, and I actually stay pretty comfortable. So the way I do it is I leave a 1-pound bottle hooked up to one side and the bigger propane bottle hooked up to the other side. If I need to take it in the house for some reason, I just unscrew the larger bottle and then take it inside, and then all of my system's already purged, and I've already got the immediate heat without having to purge the air out of the system with that other bottle staying connected. So that's really my go-to, but knowing what I know now, I would never do without one of each. So there you go. There's the information that I have to share with you about this. I do think, regardless of which one you think would best suit your needs, having a portable propane heater is an absolute necessity. They're not that expensive. I've got some Amazon links below. They are affiliate links. I'll make a small commission on it. So if you want to buy me a cup of coffee, hey, I'd appreciate it. But Keep in mind the versatility of having that's actually portable, where you can take it and move it around to wherever you need it, even if that's, taking it somewhere else to another family member or something like that. Both of these will probably do you okay. Now then, like I said, I prefer the big one, but I just don't see myself going without the small one as well. All right, guys, I guess that wraps it up. So until next time, hey, you guys be safe.